Hey, this is Justin. Thanks for downloading and listening to the J&J Talk Show. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen or favor our show on Spotify app or Facebook. You can also listen live on the J&J Talk Show. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the J&J Talk Show. I'm Justin. Happy Tuesday, November 16th, 2021. How's everyone doing? I got a big show for you guys today. Very impactful hour. We're going to get right into it. Before we can get right into it, we got to go ahead and start talking and start thanking some of our creations here. So let's get right down into things here today. Alrighty. We want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to StreamYard. StreamYard is a studio home of the J&J Talk Show. If you're looking to create your own podcast, YouTube videos, or even looking for your own virtual business meetings and videos, go to StreamYard. StreamYard is the place to go. Head on over to StreamYard.com and start making your dreams a reality. StreamYard. Okay. Well, let's also give a quick shout out and thanks to Placeit. Create your mock-ups, logos, and videos through Placeit. The J&J Talk Show is proud to be using Placeit and it to create all of their logos and promotional videos. Placeit is by Envato. Head on over to placeit.net for your free trial. And then also, let's give a quick shout out to Epidemic Sound. Discover your world's class artists, composers, and bands. Find your perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a licensed music and noise effect link. Check out Epidemic Sound for more information. Also, last but not least, Stream Elements. With one click of a button, easily create and start selling your merchandise through Stream Elements. It's that simple. Okay. Stream Elements gives you the platform with the handful of objects to sell. Simply upload or create what you want to sell and allow Stream Elements to do the rest. That they create your store, they create your merchandise, and they deliver your merchandise and give you the profit. Stream Elements make merchandise simple to sell. Head on over to streamelements.com for more information. With that being said, I like to take some time and now just promote, reach out. We have our merchandise store is available um, to the public now. Head on over to merchstreamelements.com. It's merch.streamelements.com /JJ Talk Show. Once again, that is merch.streamelements.com /JJ Talk Show. And from there, you'll be able to find all your, all your merchandise for the J&J Talk Show. And, hey, holiday season's coming up. You want to find some great, you want to find a hoodie, a t-shirt, perfect gift for somebody, you could do that now at the J&J Talk Show. So I got a really interesting show for you today. Um, I'm gonna bring in. I'm just gonna bring up the WWE, and I know this hour is gonna go by really fast. It always has, and it always will. I'm going to talk about and break down my thoughts on. We have tribute to the troops this past week. We had Monday Night Raw this past last night as well, and I'll get more into that. Okay. I was talking to Trey last night about what he thought of Raw. and I'm not the happiest person. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. I want to give you my honest opinion when it comes to doing when it comes down to the shows, and I'll get more deep into depth. But Raw wasn't good last night. Okay, if you have the audacity to sit there and tell me that Raw was a good show last night, you're insane. Now, like I said, we'll get more into it in our program today. Okay. Um, Okay, and we want to thank you wherever you guys are listening at on all of our streaming services, YouTube, which is live right now. If you want to head on in, leave me a comment. I could read them. I could share with you. Give me your thoughts and feedback. Also, Facebook. Okay, this gets posted up on Facebook later on after the show. Also on Spotify. Yeah, if you're out, you're listening to us on Spotify. You're out wanting, maybe you're a driver, maybe you're someone, you're working and you want something to listen to, head on over, check us out on Spotify at the J&J Talk Show, and then tune into every single episode. Also, if you're looking to reach out to us, we're more than willing to have conversations with you, reach out to the fan base, talk to people. If you got comments, you want to reach out to us personally, social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that great stuff going on. So there's not a reason why you can't uh, find a way and reach out or miss an episode. So I had a really good episode back on Sunday. If you didn't get a chance to see that, a episode number 12 of season 1 of the J&J Talk Show every Sunday night. You can check that out the rest of the year as well. We have a lot of things great talked about. We went over a lot going on. AEW Full Out went on. We talked a little bit about that. We got into some feuds, some Raw, and we had a very good time. And considering that Trey, he got his booster shot over the weekend for vaccination of dealing of COVID-19, and he all day long he was excited to do the show. Uh, in the afternoon, he was like, "Man, I'm hurting," and he didn't tell me this until after the show. And you could see it on the cameras, and it's just we're trying to put him in and get him out, and I'm trying to adjust to that. So maybe a little sloppy throughout the show, but he was a trooper. He comes to me after the show, man, my neck's hurting, this the booster shot is getting to me. And I'm like, why are you doing the show if you're not feeling? Oh man, I'm committed, and he is one committed person. So, thank you, Trey, for what you have done as well. I want to also, so listen, I want to give you my final thoughts and my final statement on the AEW Full Gear pay per view that happened last Saturday night. Okay. I have not personally bought a pay per view under any sports entertainment in my entire life. Now, my family has bought pay-per-views. Growing up, my father would always buy WrestleMania, maybe once in a while SummerSlam, and if we had the extra money around the holiday Survivor Series. But I grew up always watching WrestleMania. That's when you bought it, and that's when you were able to stream it. You know, um, I was just not that interested, And then when WWE, the network came out, and when Peacock came out, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have that subscription because it gives you a limited access to whatever you want to watch. And when I, so I had no intentions. And usually, if I'm watching a pay per view, I'm going over to someone's house, or I'm heading over to somebody, or to a public place that is providing that. I had no intentions of buying the pay per view on Full Gear, and I gotta honestly tell you that that was one of the biggest mistakes of my life right now, or as a wrestling fan, not buying Full Gear. Now, I saw the highlights on Sunday heading into the show, and I will tell you from the hype, like, okay, you know, there was just a energy in the air on Saturday leading up to Full Gear. And it wasn't just at Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the Target Center. If you knew about AEW and you're a big fan about professional wrestling in general, the atmosphere in the world about Full Gear on Saturday was phenomenal. I felt it, and I don't live near where the pay-per-view took place. And you and as I was seeing it, the vibe was going good. And I was like, man, I'm not watching it. It sucks. I got other things going on. I'm getting some stuff done on Saturday. And then I come in and I watch the highlights on Sunday. And I, watch the highlights getting ready for the show because we're going to talk about it. And I'm watching, I'm like, man, there's so many things I missed out last night or on Saturday night. And so I was very disappointed in myself, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to start considering buying AEW pay-per-views. Like it was, there was 5 matches on that pay-per-view that was worth being in the main event. You talk about obviously Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page, main event worthy. Miro versus Bryan Danielson, main event worthy. CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston, main event worthy. Yet MJF versus Darby Allin, main event worthy. The Inner Circle and what they did was main event worthy. There was a tremendous amount of matches main event worthy enough for the show. And they had a really stacked card. And that was very entertaining. I was very pleased with how the WWE or AEW, I'm sorry, I don't get those two mixed up because we're talking about WWE today. But AEW did very well booking it, did very well telling the stories and the storylines. And, one thing I would tell you this, WWE or AEW has a lot of top talent. A lot of their stories are going to go back to 15, 20 years ago when a lot of them got into the business, introduce themselves into the business. But overall, very pleased with the show. And it's really going to change my perspective, and it's going to change my way of thinking next time a AEW pay-per-view comes ahead of what we're going to do. Like I said, I was very pleased about what came out as well. So we have, like I said, I'm going to break down Tribute to the Troops that was on Sunday night. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw, Survivor Series coming up this Sunday. Okay, we got a lot to talk about, and we will go ahead and get all that in this impactful hour. You're listening to the J&J Talk Show right here on YouTube.
Quiero es amor, nada de compasión, no lo sé si tú sabes que te quiero pero no lo es, yeah. Hola, quiero que tú sepas que te quise amar, pero la inmadurez me la jugó, baby eso no lo quería, no, yeah. Hola, quiero que tú sepas que te quise amar. Solo una oportunidad, luego me voy. Sería chimba demostrarte quién yo soy, bebé. Superaba lo que te hice a ti. Pasara me dijo la tristeza. Viera replay, cambiaría por ti. Porque te amo, baby. Es que el corazón no entiende por qué hace tanto dolor. Fueron errores que te marcan y cantarán a grito la canción. Qué pena que esto se volvió una condena. Pero eso no me frena. Que fueras ajena, yeah. Hola, quiero que tú sepas que te quise amar, pero la inmadurez me la jugó, porque eso no lo quería, no, yeah. Hola, quiero que tú sepas que te quise amar. Solo una oportunidad, luego me voy. Sería chimba demostrarte quién yo soy, bebé. Si me quedara esos días que tenía tu compañía, desperté y no era como antes. Que los errores de mi vida nunca fueron culpa mía y el destino quiso traicionarme, pero me di cuenta demasiado tarde que por esas vainas te perdí a ti. No estuvo en mi mente hacerte sufrir, y en mis pesadillas dejarte ir. Qué pena, que esto se volvió una condena, pero eso no me frena, que fueras ajena. Hola, quiero que tú sepas que te quise amar, pero la inmadurez me la jugó. Baby, eso no lo quería, no. Hola, quiero que tú sepas que te quise amar. Solo una oportunidad, luego me voy. Sería chimba demostrarte quién yo soy, bebé.
Welcome back here on the J&J Talk Show. I'm Justin with you for the impactful hour we have streaming you as well. Hopefully everyone's having a wonderful Tuesday morning, having a wonderful week. I know work's been crazy. Um, you know, I watched, I was actually very disappointed. I was actually very disappointed in a few things, to be honest. We have, I was disappointed in the tribute to the troops. I was actually very disappointed prior to the tribute to the troops. The fact that they decided to have this episode in November. I say, I'm a big fan of the tribute to the troops. I think what the fact that the WWE goes out and they have given back to the troops. Okay. The fact that the WWE would go to Baghdad, would go to Iraq and Afghanistan. They would go to these bases and facilities in the U.S. to put on a show. I loved it. And it was a moment where you just saw nothing but great talent that you could take a weekend and not worry about whether or not there was a storyline to it, whether or not there was a baby face or a heel to it, or if this moved along in the show, because Tribute to the Troops was about putting on a show for to the men and women that serve our country. And I loved it. I was a big fan on how Tribute to the Troops was set to place. Now, I understand COVID. I understand this pandemic that we're going through and the difficulty supposedly that the WWE is going through at this moment. I do. Here's what got to me to begin with Tribute to the Troops. It was normally tradition, Tribute to the Troops is aired in December. Well, they take away December and air it in the middle of November. And I'm just not a big fan of that. On the reason why I'm not a big fan of that is because it gets me into the holiday spirit in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So for me, moving it back a month doesn't it actually hurts me because and they didn't really promote a lot of it, to be honest, on the show. I mean, up into the final week. So if I was doing something this week or this past couple weeks and I couldn't see the show, then I wouldn't even know it was on. On top of that, you got rid of TLC, which I don't agree with. One of my favorite pay per views. I've always looked at TLC to end the year. And they actually have a pay per view coming up on January 1st called Day One. Now, I don't know about you, but now there's no pay per view. Now there's no special pay per view or show going on in December. When you remove Tribute to the Troops to November, when you push when you get rid of TLC just to have a pay per view on Day One in January 1st, which I mean, that's how much thought they put into creating this little venue. But now you got an open month of nothing. Even if the show was taped, I would be okay with that. But the show was not, I mean, even if the show was taped in November, to air it in December gave WWE fans something to tune in on a Sunday. And I was thinking about this, and I've talked to Trey about this, and I was just thinking, I was like, you're giving AEW a whole month to do something on a weekend. Now, I understand it's holiday season. I get it. But I mean, are you giving the guy? You still gonna have Raw and SmackDown every Monday and Friday nights, and then on top of that, let's get right down to the day because I was actually, I was staying optimistic. Other than the fact that they moved it from December to November, I was staying optimistic and staying hopeful that this was going to be a decent show. Normally, it is. Normally, it's not that bad of a show. It's been available on USA Network. It was available on Fox. I was like, okay, it's Fox. You can't go wrong with Fox. I mean, SmackDown's been performing great because they've been on Fox. So we get into, Sunday, and I was like, okay, it's going to be at nighttime. I'm going to be able to get home. I got home in time. I was going to tune it on. Well, where was it at? It was earlier on in the day. Okay, I don't even know what time Tribute to the Troops went on. The only thing I know is I live out here on the East Coast. And when I get home, I turn on the channel to Fox at 8 o'clock, and I don't see nothing going on. Did they air it at the same time that that NFL was going on? I don't know why. People do things on Sunday, holiday shopping. Why are you putting it through on the day? I know they didn't air it back on Saturday. So I don't know what time. I mean, please, if you guys know what time they aired it, let me know. All I know is not in the evening time because I checked. I checked Tribute to the Troops, and it was not on Fox or USA Network in the evening time, like it normally should be. Okay, but that's just the list of things. I got some more. Also, really, okay. I watched the highlights after the J&J talk show on Sunday night. This is a whole nother level because you got 1 hour. You got November Tribute to the Troops. You got hardly any promotion to it. Not on and you also got earlier on in the day. So that's already 3. Let's get to 4. It was 1 hour. A 1 hour show. I think that gets under my skin the most. Okay. Was the show taped? I don't think it was live. Why would it be live for 1 hour? The only wrestling promotion that could get away with doing 1 hour live action is AEW's Rampage. But that's because they actually entertain you for the full 60 minutes. Okay? So let's remember, okay? It was in November, not December. It was you had November, not December. You had no promotion to it. You had You had it earlier on in the day. You also had 1 hour, and then I mean, if you watched it, there was no up to date current things. Now I don't know where our U.S. government is or our military bases, but you're telling me that you guys couldn't find or work out a deal with one of our bases in the U.S. to put on a show. I didn't see hardly any military people there. I mean, unless they're all wearing regular clothes, normally they all compact with uniforms. I didn't see that. Okay. It was great to watch Lillian Garcia perform the national anthem. It was great to see the wrestlers. Like the matches were fine. The in ring matches, okay. Let me be honest with you. They were only something that you would have saw if you went to a WWE live house show, but it wasn't terrible. We saw Big E beat Dolph Ziggler and then the um, hit the big ending to both the Ziggler and Robert Roode. Then we saw a great match between Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan. I'll get to that in a moment. And then we saw Roman Reigns defeat Shinsuke Nakamura. During the match, while Shinsuke was down, Rick Boog, like he always does, attempts, plays his steel guitar, distracting Roman Reigns. The Usos come out, get involved. Shinsuke defends Rick Boog. Roman Reigns comes on top. Formulated, right? So we've seen that plenty of times. But listen, those two matches weren't bad. Now, I thought Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan was a great match. Here's my only problem with this one, and it was great in ring ability. Okay, other than the only thing that's tearing us down, and we'll relate more to this in Monday Night Raw when we come up and talk about this in a few minutes. Okay, in another segment, the in ring work that these athletes are doing are not bad. It's great matches. It's the storylines that are being told through that. We get to Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan the second match. And, Liv Morgan gets is getting all emotional. And it's a big night for her. She's representing WWE. She's one of the very few that is honored to represent WWE in tribute to the troops. And Bianca Belair wins. Now, I mean, listen, you first have a baby face taking on a baby face. That's fine. That's lovely, right? You also have Liv Morgan, who you're trying to, she's now the new number one contender for against Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. She earned that way in a victory of a fatal 5-way, 2 weeks ago, last week. Okay, you also got the. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it. You got Bianca Belair, you got Liv Morgan. Okay, Bianca Belair picks up the victory. Liv Morgan's trying to become a baby face and get the push from the fans. At least that's what WWE is trying to get her to do. And then she loses the match. I don't think it's a great way for WWE to have Liv Morgan lose if they're trying to build her up. They're trying to build up Liv Morgan. Every match is crucial. It's critical. Like I said, there was nothing wrong with the performances of the match. But if this was something, though, that if you watch, you could even a new person could have told me that this was something you see on a house show. November tribute to the troops. No, hardly any promotion. 1 hour, a different time than evening time, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nope, it can't happen that way. Even if it's 6 o'clock, that's fine by me. So I don't know how many people really were able to watch it. 1 hour, and not necessarily terrible matches, but terrible storylines. You're going to throw in a tag team match in there. You couldn't give us 2 hours. And then the videos that were played, I don't have a problem with the videos, but they didn't show anything new. They replayed an old video that talked about or that showed Stone Cold, Big Show, Rey Mysterio back in the day visiting these military bases. I want to see Roman Reigns. I want to see the Usos, the Street Profits getting into tanks. I want to see Hit Row. I want to see RK Bro walking around a naval base. I'm just saying that I mean, it's hard to believe and to think that the WWE, we're talking about WWE, one of the biggest venues, okay, one of the biggest sports entertainers business in the world, WWE couldn't get themselves onto a military base sometime this month or next month. Everyone wears a mask. That's fine by me. Everyone gets vaccinated. I think WWE is getting that way. Everyone has to test negative for COVID. I know they get tested frequently. So I don't think that there's a single reason why WWE couldn't get on a base. It didn't look like it. If they got onto a base, it sure damn didn't look like it. I didn't see a tremendous amount of people in uniform. When Tribute to the Troops come out, you want to get people wearing uniforms so you exactly know who your audience is at the show. You're telling me that maybe those guys that are sitting in the front rows are not in uniform. They're, but they're military personnel. You kind of also have to sell it if that was the case. But it's hard to believe. Terrible show in the last 19 years of doing this. The worst show of them all. And I hate to say it. I really hate to say it because I love Tribute to the Troops so much. But this was so terrible. So filthy. You should. I mean, I'd rather have you guys skip this year of Tribute to the Troops than try to force something through. And you had time to do it. I mean, you should have saved the extra month and, not even worry about doing Tribute to the Troops at all. You should have just worried about focusing on the recent content that you're putting out there. Because, I mean, we're going to get into Raw here in a minute when we come back. But that wasn't the greatest show of them all either. And I was talking to Trey about it, and he was like, yeah, it was an okay show. And here's what I'll explain a lot more when I get back. Okay, so we'll be right back right here on the J&J Talk Show. 마저 내 가슴을 다 바쳐 사랑하기엔 내 자신이 너무 걱정돼 바보 같은 생각이야 알아 멍청해 상상만으로도 좋은 상상만으로도 힘든 이중적인 면을 가지고 있어 사랑이라는 걸 oh yeah. Baby can't you come with me can't you hold my hand and live 근데 있잖아 너라면 다를까 생각이 들어 해볼까 말까 내 다리가 걸어 가는 방향이 어딘지 서로 궁금해져 버려 애써 맘 졸여 하늘만 보면서 언제쯤 알게 될까 너도 나와 같은 생각을 하고 있을까 한참을 멍하니 보다 보니 살짝 어두워진 색깔 불그스름한 노을의 색깔 상상만으로도 좋은 상상만으로도 힘든 이중적인 면을 가지고
가지고 있어 사랑이라는 거 oh, yeah. Baby can't you come with me Can't you hold my hand and lead I just wanna know what you're thinking wondering all day long not gonna do another pick and choosing you with me in this song 상상만으로도 좋은 상상만으로도 힘든 이중적인 연을 가지고 있어 사랑이라는 거 oh,
Welcome back, everyone, to the J&J Talk Show. It is back. TC Barbecue is back for local Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky residents only. TC Barbecue is a home of slow smoked, mouth-watering, and made-to-perfection barbecue. Whole and half rack of beef ribs and pork baby back ribs are available now, available on November 24th. That's right, one day before Thanksgiving. If you're interested in enjoying some smoking ribs this Thanksgiving, reach out to Travis Chappelle on Facebook or check out his Instagram page on Chappelle Travis. Limited time order only. Order now. Must be able to pick up. Where you go. Here's my question for you as we get back into this bottom half of the hour of the J&J Talk Show. We sit here and we are prone to accepting WWE and their talent. Now, I don't think I would be the only one to disclaim this, but have we downgraded our expectations for WWE? I think that's a good question to ask. Have we accepted as fans a lowered standard that WWE and the content that they put out? I was talking to Trey last night. He watched Raw. I watched the first segment, and I was like, you know what? That's the most. They tricked you a little bit in a sense. As I was watching the first segment of Raw last night, I didn't watch the entire episode because of work. But as I watched the first segment of Raw, I was a little teased. Trey was teased too, according to him. We thought that maybe that the WWE was going to actually start branding invading, SmackDown invading Raw, and vice versa come this Friday. Now we still don't know what comes up this Friday, but we went throughout the matches and and we call it, I think a lot of people call it formulated or predictability. And there's a lot of predictability in the in the WWE right now. But they started off the show with Big E addressing Kevin Owens, or Big E addressing Roman Reigns. And then he addresses his own issues on Raw. And instead of addressing the number one contender for the WWE champion, he addresses Kevin Owens. Now, and then Kevin Owens comes out. He makes his statement. He says, listen, if you want to tell the fans, you want to tell all the wrestlers backstage that I'm this big, mean, bad heel person, then I'm going to live up to that expectation. And then you see Kevin Owens walk off. And then Big E goes and meets, tries to go after him. But then he gets stopped by the Usos up at the stage entrance. And then it turns into, the Matt Riddle tries to save him, and it turns into a tag team match. And then that tag team match turns into a 6-man tag match. Next you know, you're about 45 minutes to an hour into the program, watching the same people in the same match over and over again. Now, I'm like, dude, this is the same thing they pull all the time. And it's not necessarily entertainment, to be honest. Like, it's entertaining to see, like, when you go to a live event, you go to Raw, you go to SmackDown, you want to see all your top stars. So it's great to see Randy Orton because he doesn't necessarily show up or appear on all these episodes. So I'm thankful that he shows up, and it's a way to get him involved, right? And, but I think this rolls right into, a little bit of the Survivor Series because because then the Usos make an announcement to RK Bro about not, how they're going to, own them at Survivor Series. And then that's when RK Bro comes out. But I think I was more, not confused, but teased that maybe the brands will come in. That was not what happened last night. I was talking to Trey, and he was like, "Man, this wasn't a bad Raw. Could have been better. Was not a bad." And I think, at least to me, I was just thinking about it. I was like, dude, I mean, maybe it was a good show. Okay, and I'll when I find out, I'll make my own decision on that. But isn't WWE fans prone now or adjusted to their standards that WWE puts out there and the content they provide? And then when they come out and they do just a simple formulated show like they should be doing each and every week, then that's an actual good show for WWE fans. This stuff that you're seeing out of Big E and out of Kevin Owens, out of Seth Rollins, there's things that you're seeing that the Usos are invading. That used to be a typical night in professional wrestling in the WWE. And now you're talking, or you're looking into, now you have to accept less. And then when they can bring up these formulated or predictable, shows, then that's acceptable. Oh man, it's so seen. I went to Raw back when they came down in my area a couple months ago. So I think it was around after Extreme Rules, and we saw Big E versus Bobby Lashley, and it was we got off to a great start. Then it turns into some chaos, leading into a steel cage match. The only reason that used to be a generic everyday show maybe 10 years ago. That stuff used to happen all the time in the Attitude Era. Okay, especially between 2000 and 2009. A lot of that stuff happened on a nightly and weekly basis, where you would find brands invading each other. You would find storylines intensifying, and you don't necessarily see that. Okay, prime example. Okay, Kevin Owens comes out and tells Big E, says, "Listen, listen. I'm telling you the truth. You don't want to hear it. That's fine. Okay, I'm tired of sitting here and trying to defend myself," which he only did it for 1 week. But I'm tired of sitting here trying to explain myself and make a case for myself. If you don't listen and you want to go around the locker room and tell people that I'm such a terrible person, I'm going to live up to it. I'm going to make the dream a reality. And everything that I do from here on out, all the damage I cause is going to be lies on your hands. And then the only thing we see out of Kevin Owens is the fact that he goes out and faces Finn Balor and barely wins. Now, I'm not no WWE creative team. If you'd like to call me, let me know. I'll love to chat with you guys and let you know how I think the show should be run. But I can't tell you on behalf of, because I'm not in the creative suite there and I'm not in the meetings. But if I was that night, if I was, it was last night and that's what Kevin Owens said, this is what I do. Kevin Owens, all right, you're going to go attack all the men in the roster. Every male match that you go into, you're going to get involved. You're going to attack, you're going to go attack maybe R-Truth backstage, maybe cost him the 24/7 champion. You're going to go interfere in matches, and you're going to raise hell and cause destruction. Because now, when Big E has to have you in the back of his mind at Survivor Series, he has to have, and really implement the disaster and the chaos that he's causing. Throw back on Big E. Hey, you wanted this. You said I'm this type of person. This is what you're going to get. And I know Kevin Owens could be a very demolishable, person when it comes down to implementing his work ethic. So if I was Kevin Owens, after what he said, I would have him go around the locker room or the backstage area, just attacking men, attacking the male roster. I would have him attack tag teams, the Dirty Dogs. I would have him attack AJ, or maybe try to attack AJ. I would have him attack Finn Balor. I would have him squash Finn Balor. Maybe after the match, bring chairs, tables, ladders into it, whatever you want to talk about. Anything that could put blood on him and throw it to Big E's face. That's what I would do. But it didn't happen. You saw him in a match, barely won. There you go. You spend an hour in the same storyline. No advancement in that. So my point is that WWE we have accepted a lower standard so that when they do an average show like they did last night, or just a typical show, that is good enough. It turns out to be good enough for the fans. And, when you try to compare WWE to AEW, let's not look at the talent because, the in-ring ability, the stuff that the athletes do inside the ring is not the problem. The problem is the storyline that is being told. And AEW has definitely shown a 10 times better storyline out of that as well. Which is like, that's then why you think AEW is such better. And then when you do have the 1 and 2 storylines projected, okay, out of WWE, it's not enough to carry the show like it should, because you need the entire roster and the entire show to mix together. All right, we're going to take our last break of the show. Come back. I want to talk to you a little bit about WWE and Survivor Series coming up this Sunday as well. WrestleMania tickets available now through SeatGeek. Get your package plans through WrestleMania 38 in Dallas, Texas at the AT&T Stadium. Check that out. Coming up to the end of the hour, thank you for listening and tuning in to the J&J Talk Show. We'll be right back.
Jingle them bells and frolic. Oh, by gosh, some stolly eggnog and tonic make Yuletide gay and jolly.
I got to be honest with you.
Same
I was going through the
procedure
playlist about
every
how
year.
we're
Just
going to go
can't
do the
get
show.
enough.
This is not the right song I wanted.
Rudolph reappears. I told
But it's the holiday
him that
season,
red-nosed
and I
deer.
guess it's better late than
Jingle
never.
them bells
So,
and frolic.
hey, listen,
It's the best day
NWF,
of the
local
year.
Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky residents, also tune us in. A great promotion coming to you in NWF Wrestling. Live November 27th, 2021. NFW returns to induct the Monster Abyss into their Hall of Fame. A former Impact Wrestling phenomenon, the Monster Abyss will be inducted to the NWF Hall of Fame on November 24th. And we will have to get better with this whole entrance music. Listen, all the music that you're listening to is by is through Epidemic Sounds, licensing all the music and what we're going through. Man, I chose the wrong song for this one, and that's okay. Let's finish off with the program here and by talking about Survivor Series. Now, talk about Survivor Series. They haven't really promoted it, and maybe it's not the commentary, not the commercial breaks. They're not promoting it in the ring. Let's get right down into it, because back after Crown Jewel, we saw a great way to start promoting Survivor Series when the title exchange between Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair happened, right? Uh, Charlotte Flair dropped the title for Becky. Becky threw the title. And I think we preached on this show before how we anticipated, okay, well, they need Charlotte and Becky for the next 2 weeks need to be going on each other's brands and getting involved with them, where you would have had a restraining order, or okay, maybe then Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville gets involved, and for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, they go back and forth. Things get heated up. All right, you guys are going to be suspended up until then because they could not stand each other. They had a perfect storyline telling, and it was a great way to promote Survivor Series inside the ring. Okay, so it's one thing to promote it through the commentating sections. It's another way to promote the pay-per-view through commercial breaks. That's fine, but you also need to promote the uh, the platform, the pay-per-views through the what's going on inside the ring. Also, if that content in there is exciting, then great. And we have really not seen any of that coming up to Survivor Series, one of the four biggest pay-per-views in WWE each and every year. And then here it gets crazier. So I know WWE's the tradition 5-on-5 men and women elimination match that gets announced on social media last weekend, and then they start implementing changes. We first see Dominic being replaced by Bobby Lashley after he squashed him. You saw this week where Rey Mysterio was to be get squashed, and then listen. Last week, Adam Pearce comes out and says, "Listen, we need to have, reason why Dominic's not in there is because he wasn't a former champion and we want the best of the best." Well, then Rey Mysterio gets squashed by Bobby Lashley. Last night, Adam Pearce takes him out and puts in Austin Theory because Austin Theory comes in and wants to take an Instagram or a selfie with them. I think that's a complete bogus. Where's Austin Theory and what did he win to earn that opportunity? By naming that. Also, we get over to the SmackDown side. I know we still got SmackDown coming up this Friday night, but but you saw last week where Jeff Hardy beat Sami Zayn to kick him out of the SmackDown. You also saw Sasha Banks being added into the women's. You saw a great performance out of Aaliyah, and not only that, she pinned Natalia. But what does she get? Her reward is being taken out of the Team SmackDown side of things. And my question is why can't you sit there and just over the last month hey, we're going to have entertaining matches. The winners of these matches are going to represent Team Raw and Team SmackDown as a new brand, and kind of build up that power. We're seeing a great feud between Big E and Roman Reigns that's not getting as much attention right now. I told you back when, King Woods and Jimmy Uso faced, where they knocked out and they took out Kofi Kingston. I said, listen, this is where Big E should have addressed it last Monday. And then he should be going to Smack. Roman Reigns should be coming on to Raw saying, hey, this is my yard too. Big E should be going on to SmackDown saying, no, listen, I'm defending my family and you're not going to sit there and lay hands on them again. And we're not seeing any of it. I got to be honest. It's poor booking, in my opinion. Like I said, there's not many promotions. The promotion that's going on between Becky and Charlotte's happening all on social media. Yeah, Becky. I mean, they're coming on the air. They're coming on Raw and SmackDown, and they sit there and they talk about one another. Becky Lynch is calling her plastic. Is calling Charlotte plastic. Charlotte saying that you're coming back, telling Becky that she's coming back too soon from having a child. You know what? You already sold me in the Becky and Charlotte Flair match. I think it's going to grow and lead to something bigger at WrestleMania. But like I said, there's nothing inside the ring that's really attracting me to Survivor Series. And it's unfortunate. It's very disappointing. I'm very upset about this. What do you guys think? I mean, am I wrong? Am I seeing something completely different? I want that open conversation. Like I said, if you want to get in contact with us, talk to us about what's going on in the world of wrestling, reach out to us. Okay? Reach on out to us through Facebook, through Instagram, through Twitter, okay? Through TikTok, like we post up videos, okay? Don't forget to check us out. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button on YouTube, on Facebook, on Spotify, okay? There's no reason not to check us out and tune into each and every episode. Coming up Thursday, keep an eye out on our Facebook page. I will be posting up Week 11's picks of the NFL. Play along with us as me, Justin, and Trey pick our teams who we think are going to win each and every week. Also, tune us in on Thursday, November 18th, where we break down the NFL, talk about some NFL as along with our picks. Well, that's all I had the time for you guys today. I enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoy it too. You guys let me know down in the comments. And until tomorrow, you guys have yourself a wonderful day.